Hey guys, this is Julian, trail name Sardines. I did a Appalachian Trail flip-flop through hike in 2017, and I'm going to give you a review about the trekking poles I used, which are these Black Diamond Alpine Carbon Cork trekking poles. These cost me about $100. You don't need to get something that expensive. I saw plenty of people with like cheap $20 Walmart ones, and they work. They're fine. They'll do the job. You really just need something to that you can punch into the ground like that to help you along. So the cheap ones the cheaper ones are aluminum, and I saw sometimes they would bend and like people would bend them back, but not all the time. But I really like these. These worked out really great for me. Never had any issues with them breaking. I did have one of the tips break off once, and I had to replace the whole tip, but that was only $10. You basically just had to put them. So there's like, I don't know if you can see here, but there's like this tip, and then there's like a tip, and this front, I forget the proper names, but the front tip you can like unscrew, and that's what broke on mine, but it broke in a way where you couldn't unscrew it from here, so I had to replace this whole thing. But it was $10 for the pair of them right there. And to get these off, you put this end in boiling water, and that kind of expands it, because they get locked on when you're hitting these on the ground a bunch of times. And then you just pull it off, put the other ones on, and that's it. So these are carbon fiber. They're pretty lightweight. They're not the lightest weight poles out there, but they did a good job. I abused these. Like, I would catch so many falls with these, and they would they would do some flexing. You can watch me break this here, but you can they're very durable. They'll flex, but they never snap. No fear of them breaking. These are the flick lock mechanisms, and they worked really well. A couple times there's an adjustment knob. I had to just like tighten them because one was like loosening up a little bit. So I just tightened that, and I was fine in that department. I did like how they were adjustable. I don't know if you can see, but it'll show you like how many centimeters you're at here when you adjust both. So they say when you're like standing, you want to have and you're holding the poles, you want your elbows to be at a right angle. So that's what you use for a guideline, but you end up learning what works for you. So if I were to do it again, I would probably go for one that was like preset at a certain length, because when you have adjustability, you have extra weight, and at times I would prefer it to be a little bit lighter. So I found like 130 centimeters worked fine for me. So next time I would do that. But these are still pretty light. As you can see, I put some duct tape on them. It's a little tip sometimes that comes in handy. Another thing I liked about these is the handles. So you'll notice that there is cork. This is cork here, and this is rubber. So cork is really good because in the summer it'll absorb your sweat really well, and a lot of times I would actually like take sweat off my forehead that way. It would just absorb it really well. The rubber is nice in the winter because it insulates. And it really does. Like, I would hike in the winter, I had my hand up here, and it would get cold, and then I'd move it down here, and it would warm up. And I mean, you can just right now I can feel the heat difference. So when you do use this, you can't use this accessory right here, but it is still fine when it was really cold. It wasn't too often. So proper way to use these guys right here. For a while, I was doing it the wrong way, like I think like this or something. Yeah, I was doing it like this for a couple hundred miles, and then someone said, "Oh, that's not how you do it." So you go under, and then like that, and you grab on, and you'll see that's why you do it that way. So your wrist is kind of taking all the impact, because if you don't want to be squeezing like really tight on this here, because that will like strain you too much. So you want to be like, most of the weight when you're pressing is going to be on your hand or wrist right here, and then you're just kind of like going, not gripping too hard on this right here. So, yeah, these worked fine. As you can see, they're very worn out, but they held up fine for my AT hike. The cork in a couple places, you can see did wear out right there, but that's tiny, not a big deal. And you see this wore out a little bit, but it still worked fine. So yeah, so trekking poles in general, definitely recommend bringing them with you. Some people started without them, but pretty much all of them, I would say, quickly ended up getting them back. I saw some people with one, but 95% of people, maybe 95% of people had 2 trekking poles with them. So the way I found them helpful, so I just found it it allowed you to distribute the load to both of your, more than just your legs, so you can get your arms a little workout also, make it a little easier on your legs. It helped me go faster, so I was able to push off a little bit with them. It helped me for stability, and it saved me from so many falls, because as you're hiking, there were tons of times where I would catch myself with these, or trip or something and catch myself like this. So therefore I could move faster. Basically I found the faster that I moved, the more risk I would take with each step as far as falling. So by having these as extra legs, little safety measure, I could hike faster, and it'd be okay if I have a little trip because I could catch myself with these. And some people would use these as so it's clever, but some people would they make tents out there where you can actually use trekking poles instead of the tent poles here, so you can save weight there. Anytime you can use something twice, that's a big weight savings for 2 reasons. I didn't have a tent like that, but some people, that's another way to use your poles. So I would probably get a tent that uses poles to save more weight next time. But that's another use for this. And these also serve as a little self-defense weapon. I mean, never had to use it, but it's nice to have something here. I mean, it's a pointy front, so just in case something happens, you got 2 little things here. I would actually always, when I was in my tent, I would leave these extended with the ends of them in the tent. So if something happened, maybe there's an animal like a bear or something nearby, I could always just grab these. And start doing that right there, clanging them together. That's what you want to do when there's bear, make some noise. So the poles that's another use for them. You could hit them together, make some noise like that. Yeah, and sometimes if I'm standing, take a little break, I'll lean on the poles to rest for a little bit. So yeah, I was very happy with these poles. As I said, I would want to get a lighter set, and that would mean one that's not adjustable. So maybe they have some that are Black Diamond makes some Z ones that fold up 3 parts like a Z, sort of say. They're lighter, or even ones that don't collapse, that I would consider that. It would just make storing them in the pack a little, or on the side of the pack a little difficult for traveler stuff, but that's the way you can get the lightest. These are Black Diamond. Some people use Leki or Leki, Leki poles. I might consider Leki poles next time. I heard really good things about them. I probably saw more of those than Black Diamond, actually, so those might be a little more popular. So I think that's about it. I'm trying to think of anything else I missed here. One thing I would do. Sometimes these can get even unlocked a little bit hard. It might be helpful sometimes. They do come out all the time. Might be helpful to do a little cleaning of these sometimes, in a stream, just to get any sand or dirt off. I think you're supposed to. This one was always pretty easy, but just to keep it running a little smoother, I would clean them out with a hose sometimes. Right. That's that.